And for the second year in a row, Republicans have dropped a surprise abortion bill on day one of the legislative session. This time it would take the current 15-week ban and cut it down to 6 weeks. Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders joining us live tonight in Tallahassee, tracking it all for us. And Forrest, proof on day one that elections have consequences. The Republicans have the numbers to pretty much do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Perhaps one Republican said it best earlier today when he said it is a, quote, bad year to be a Democrat in Florida. That's because you've got GOP supermajorities in both chambers. You've got a governor who's very seriously considering a run for the White House. And now the party is adding to that controversial slate of bills. The governor's about 30-minute State of the State address ended like this Tuesday.
And I can promise you this, you ain't seen nothing yet.
True to his word, a surprise abortion bill arrived only minutes earlier. The sponsor, Senator Aaron Grahl, proposed the current 15-week ban, which she carried last year, be cut back to 6. That's around the time a heartbeat is detected, but before many know they're pregnant. Exceptions made for fatal fetal conditions, rape, and incest.
I was curious what your thoughts are on this 6-week abortion ban that was filed today.
The governor sounded supportive when we asked him about the bill shortly after his speech.
Yeah, I think those exceptions are sensible. And like I said, we welcome pro-life legislation.
But in the past, Florida's Senate president has been one of the biggest roadblocks to Republicans going further. She told journalists earlier this year a 12-week ban was her limit. That looks to have changed.
My biggest concern has always been the exception for rape and incest, fetal death, and the life of the mother. And that's my number one priority, and that's why I support the bill. It's in the bill.
As Republicans now look more aligned on further restrictions,
they have never seen a war like they are about to see.
Democrats from both chambers were livid, calling the bill tantamount to an all-out ban and vowing to fight tooth and nail to keep it from becoming law.
All of this needs to be basically litigated in the court of public opinion. This 6-week abortion ban, let me tell you, I think they have bitten off more than they can chew. I do not think that Floridians are going to be happy about this. It does not poll well.
Even so, the judicial branch may pose the biggest challenge. In the coming months, the state's highest court set to consider whether the current 15-week law stands under Florida's broad privacy protections. If justices say no, 6 weeks likely gone as well. Now, a couple of other things we should note. Governor Ron DeSantis said that he would not support a bill that would basically require bloggers to register with the state if they plan to write about any state officials. He also said that he would be supportive of an open carry bill if it were to land on his desk, but that's not something that the Senate GOP and House GOP leadership are willing to do. Paul?
Well, Forrest, the 15-week ban took effect in July. It's enforced, the current ban, but it's also being legally challenged, and it's up before the state Supreme Court. Republican leaders had previously said that any further bans would need to wait until the court makes a decision on the 15-week ban. So I'm just wondering if you've heard anything about what has changed in the calculus here. Is it all just politics? And if a 15-week ban is being challenged, a 6-week ban would almost certainly be challenged, assuming this passes.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at here is what Governor DeSantis addressed earlier today, which is that this would be essentially a trigger law. So if the justices uphold the 15-week ban and the legislature passes the 6-week ban, it would then come into effect as soon as that happens. But until then, we have to wait and see what those justices are going to say. And it's no guarantee that they are going to uphold 15 weeks. I think even Republicans know that there is a potential they could strike this down under the Florida Constitution's broad privacy protections.
Well, this ban at 6 weeks includes exemptions for rape and incest and the mother's life, although they have to prove that they're a victim, which critics would say is dehumanizing and humiliating. The current ban at 15 doesn't have any exemptions. So why all of a sudden are lawmakers open to that compromise? Do they think something happens magically between week 6 and week 15, that a rape victim is victim enough to deserve some mercy? Or is this some sort of half-hearted attempt to make this near total ban passable by all of a sudden throwing in the exemptions?
I think this is a result of weeks and weeks, maybe even months, of negotiation on this policy. I mean, we've heard from House Speaker Paul Renner and Senate President Kathleen Passidomo about how Republicans are split on this issue and really have been since passage of the 15-week ban. Some wanted to go to a total ban, some wanted fetal heartbeat, some just wanted 12 weeks. And so they've been negotiating and trying to come up with a way to get there. And we seem to have this bill now. We don't know what the vote count is going to be, but if Republicans are offering it and supporting it, it's a fair bet that they think they have the votes needed to get it to Governor Ron DeSantis.
Oh, yeah, they definitely have the votes. Forrest, thank you. Forrest Saunders from Tallahassee tonight. Much more to come in the days and weeks ahead. Day one off to a fast start as we bring in Dr. Susan McManus here with us to provide some analysis. Okay, so day one starts off with this headline grabber on this near total abortion ban. Do we know where most Floridians stand on something like this? Do they want a politician telling them what to do with their body?
It's kind of interesting because in the 2022 election, and the exit polls showed that only 24% of Floridians identified abortion as their number one voting cue. So we don't know, but there was so much other that was introduced in this session. And people forget that the real reason for a state of the state is to convince those sitting legislators to pony up with a lot of the money that some of these programs that the governor is proposing are going to cost.
Well, and if he wanted perhaps the media to focus on other things that are more, kitchen table ideas, then why present it on day one? The head of the Florida Alliance of Planned Parenthood said that this total ban, I'm paraphrasing here, it has to do with what is best for Floridians and everything to do with what Ron DeSantis wants to be president and what he thinks the Republican primary voters want. So how much of this session, to answer his critics, is about what everyday hardworking Floridians who come home to rising food costs, gas prices, education quality that is going down. They're worried about their kids getting quality education in Florida. How much does it have to do with them and how much of it has to do with Ron DeSantis and his career as a politician?
Well, the bottom line is that people are focusing on this, but they're turning their head against other things that some Democrats are regarding as very much along the lines of abortion. There is everything in his speech. He talked about the economy, he talked about the environment, he talked about education, he talked about law and order, the death penalty, a lot of different things, tax cuts, tax holidays, lawsuits against helpful, that are hurtful to businesses. There was a lot in that speech, but it's also partly the media taking hold of this and putting it to the top of the list.
He knows that this is going to get the attention. He's media savvy enough to know that when you put a 6-week abortion ban on the table, it's not only going to get the attention of the media in Florida, but the national attention as well.
Well, of course, and that is a gamble because obviously the abortion issue did not work out real well for Republicans in other states in the 2022 election cycle.
So
at the same time, though, sometimes you put this out there and you're deflecting from attention other places.
Well, I guess we're about to find out just how red Florida really is. We'll see how it comes in the next 60 days or so. Thank you.